In a recent video, we learned that Benny from the Tops Casino in New Vegas had hired some Great Con mercenaries to help him recover the platinum chip. We tracked those Great Cons down at Boulder City, where we resolved a conflict between them and the NCR. But who are these Great Cons? What's their role here in the wasteland? We likely next bump into them while exploring Quarry Junction. If we head to the hills overlooking the quarry, we find a Great Con encampment.
That's close enough. What do you want with the Great Cons?
Is that a New Zealand accent? How did this con tribal acquire a New Zealand accent? Well, Melissa, can you tell me a little bit more about the Great Cons?
We're an independent group. We take care of our own and don't take crap from anybody. Especially the NCR.
What happened between the Great Cons and the NCR?
Bitter Springs happened. Women and children died when the NCR attacked the Great Cons there, and the NCR just pretends it never happened.
Where can I find the rest of the Great Cons?
Our main camp is up in Red Rock Canyon, but we don't allow just anyone to come in. The NCR can't touch us there. Too many places for us to ambush them. We see their scouts poking around once in a while, but they keep their distance.
How did you end up joining the Great Cons?
It wasn't easy. There's a lot of initiation rituals to go through, and I've got the scars to prove it. But in the end, I was tough enough to be made a member. Proudest day of my life.
I see, so she wasn't born into it. Maybe that can explain her distinctive accent. Well, what are you doing all the way up here?
Awaiting a delivery, but it's a no-show. I'm guessing that the death claws in the quarry have something to do with that.
A delivery? It seems like an odd place to pick up a delivery.
The Khans and the NCR don't get along. They prefer to shoot us on sight, even if we're not looking for a fight.
Oh, really? Well, after our encounter with Jessup, I rather get the impression that it's the Khans who shoot the NCR on sight. Sounds like a bit of an exaggeration from Melissa here. But what kind of delivery were you expecting?
Supplies to make chems. The NCR's the best source since they're hard to come by anywhere else. We don't really use the chems ourselves. Just sell them to anybody with the caps. If it ends up hurting the NCR in the process, that's a bonus.
Is this delivery legal?
I doubt the NCR thinks so.
All right, Melissa, I'll help you with your problem.
Is that right? What's your angle?
We have 4 options, each lead to the same result. We can lie and say, just trying to get on the good side of the Great Cons. I don't understand why this is a lie. Maybe I really am trying to get on the good side of the Great Cons.
That's a smart move. The Great Cons look out for their friends.
Or we can say, I don't have an angle, I just want to help.
Right. All right, here's the deal.
Or we can say, a favor for a favor.
All right, fair enough. You help us out and I'll owe you one.
And finally we can say, well, I am expecting to get paid, of course.
That's a motive I can understand. I was expecting a shipment of chemicals. It's usually in a suitcase dropped off in one of the big machines up here. Because of the death clause, I have to assume the suitcase is still in Sloane. Snoop around the place and get it for me.
And with that, we begin the quest, Don't Make a Beggar Out of Me. Melissa, are these chemicals dangerous?
I wouldn't eat or drink them, but no. They won't explode if you drop them or anything.
Anything else I should know?
Don't kill anybody if you don't have to. I'm a scout and I like to keep a low profile.
So we need to head down to the mining town of Sloane just outside the quarry. Since we cleared this quarry in a previous episode, should be easy enough. The camp itself has 2 other Great Cons. It's a Spartan encampment. They've been sleeping on big pieces of cardboard, and we don't find much gear, just a few pieces of Hydra and minor food strewn about. Heading a short walk southwest of this point, we arrive at the mining town of Sloane. Heading inside the shack to the west, we can walk up the stairs and turn right into the office. The only container that is not set to owned is a suitcase lying to the left of a table with a ham radio. Inside, we find only a carton of cigarettes, so the chemicals are not here in Sloane as Melissa expected. We need to get some answers, so heading outside, we can walk east towards the road to talk to the guy in charge, Chomps Lewis, who stands by a big barricade made from sandbags.
Do you need something?
Hey Chomps, I'm looking for a suitcase filled with chemical supplies for a friend. Know anything?
Yes. I think I know which friend you mean. Even if there weren't death claws in the quarry, there'd still be no delivery. The supplier, a guy in Prim named Tyrone, is a cheating son of a bitch who won't deliver even though he's already been paid in advance.
Has Tyrone cheated you before?
He's always been shady, but this is the first time he's outright screwed me.
Don't you care that you're helping the Great Khans?
I'm just a middleman. The Great Khans are a hard group, and some of them are no good. But they're not all the same. I believe in the NCR, but that doesn't make it right for them to roll over anyone who doesn't want any part of them.
How do you know Melissa?
She's my daughter. Takes a little too much after her mother, rest her soul. But she's happy with the Great Khans, and that's enough for me.
What? She's your daughter? This just brings up more questions. What, was she raised by her mother in New Zealand, and then for love she decided to come back to California on a slave How did she get her accent if her father has an American accent? I'm just really confused. All right, Chomps, I'll go pay Tyrone a visit.
Good luck.
Now, we learned from a previous episode that Chomps and his crew were at this quarry working to get stone to be used by the NCR to help create their cement for all of the construction that the NCR is doing. At the time, Chomps shared some choice words he had with the NCR. He wasn't terribly pleased with the way that they do business. He especially didn't like the way that the NCR insisted on paying him with NCR dollars, a much less valuable currency than caps. So even though he is an NCR citizen and he's sympathetic towards them, he certainly has his gripes, which may help explain why when his daughter comes along, looking for someone to help her with her business, he was ready to agree. After all, blood is thicker than cement. At any rate, when we get to Prim looking for Tyrone, we find him in the second tent of the NCR camp.
Hey, what can Tyrone do for you?
What do you do here, Tyrone?
Just making some deliveries to the troops here in Prim. I'm stationed in California, but I come across the border a couple times a month.
How do you like being part of the NCR military?
It's better than farming or herding Brahmin. As long as they don't send me to the front lines, I'm a happy man.
A friend in Sloane told me to come to you about some chemical supplies.
You trying to get me busted? Keep your damn voice down. Lieutenant Hayes already has his eye on me. Look, I already told Chomps the NCR is getting suspicious of all these misplaced supplies. Bigger risk means bigger cost. 300 caps bigger.
Oh, I see what's going on here. Bigger risk, eh? Look, Tyrone, you were already paid in advance.
Yeah, and as it turns out, the advance wasn't enough. The price has gone up. That's just how it goes.
We have a number of ways to resolve this. If we have a female courier and the Black Widow perk, we can pass a Black Widow check to say, how about you and I come to another arrangement? It'll be worth it. Trust me.
Well, it's been a while. All right, let's do this.
Did we just,
I had an amazing time with you. You can look me up anytime, baby.
We did. Okay. No fade to black or anything. Or, if we have a strong courier, we can pass a 7 strength check to say, I'm sorry, but all these muscles make it hard to hear sometimes. What was that again about risk?
Never mind. Take the supplies. All yours, friend.
Or we can pass a 40 speech check to say, I say the word and someone else will start making deliveries to Nevada, not you.
I've reconsidered my position, and I think it would be in my best interest if I were to sacrifice my profit on this particular deal.
Or we can pass a 35 barter check to say, is 300 caps worth being known as a deal breaker? Seems like bad business to me.
Fine. I'll just eat the cost and do a favor for Chomps. Just this one time only.
And finally, if we can't pass any of these checks, we can simply pay the 300 caps. Here's 300 caps. Now hand over those supplies.
Pleasure doing business with you. Of course, this whole deal never happened, am I right?
With that, he gives us the drug chemicals that Melissa and her great cons need to produce their illicit chems. But we now have a choice. We can rat Tyrone out to the NCR. After all, he is stealing these chemicals from the NCR. To expose Tyrone, we have to talk with Lieutenant Hayes. Now, we normally find Lieutenant Hayes in the nearby tent. However, upon completing the NCR correctional facility and getting rid of the powder gangers there, Lieutenant Hayes moves to Camp Forlorn Hope. So in my case, heading all the way over to Camp Forlorn Hope, we find him and Sergeant McGee, unless we made him Sheriff of Prim, standing at a small campfire in the middle of the camp.
Yeah?
Tyrone has been selling chemical supplies to the Great Khans. Here, I got these from him.
Tyrone wasn't authorized to deliver any of this. There were reports of our supplies being used by the Great Khans to make illegal chems. Until now, we've never had any hard evidence. Most of the chems end up with the Fiends, a group of crazies the NCR tangles with regularly. We'll have to conduct a thorough investigation of all our quartermasters and crack down on sloppy record-keeping. Thank you. Other than Tyrone, were any other NCR citizens involved in this smuggling operation?
With that, we complete Don't Make a Beggar of Me, we gain karma, and we gain NCR fame. But we have another choice. We can choose to rat out Chomps Lewis, the foreman at Sloane, or tell him that no one else was involved. If we say Chomps Lewis, the foreman at Sloane, was also involved...
All right. I'll have him brought in for questioning.
But nothing really happens. We don't get any more karma, and we don't get any more fame. Or we can lie and say, no, there wasn't anyone else.
All right. Thanks for all your help.
And again, we gain neither karma nor fame. The ramifications of these choices are also confusing. If we rat out Tyrone and head back to the tents at Prim, we see that Tyrone has gone. However, he does not appear anywhere we would expect. He's not at the NCR correctional facility if we have retaken it for the NCR. We don't find him in any of the tents at Camp Forlorn Hope. He just disappears from the game. And if we choose to rat out Chomps Lewis, nothing happens at all. When we go back to Sloane, we see him standing right where we left him. But if we head back to Melissa at the Great Khan encampment...
What do you want now?
Your supplier was exposed. There won't be any more chemical supplies.
Uh-huh. And how exactly was he exposed?
We have three options. We can say, well, he was sloppy and trusted the wrong person, which incidentally is true.
Well, fuck. I can't believe I'm going back to Red Rock empty-handed. Thanks for trying to help.
Or we can lie, shrug our shoulders, and say, beats me.
I don't think that's the whole story, but fuck it. I'm going back to Red Rock. I've had enough of this place.
Or we can own up to our role in it and say simple. I turned him in.
I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. You're gonna pay for that.
In which case, Melissa and her Great Khan guards turn hostile, forcing us to kill them.
Let's start this day.
If we do, we gain infamy with the Great Khans, and we fail an incredibly important quest later on called Oh My Papa, which allows us to shape the destiny of the Great Khans. Strangely enough, if we kill Melissa, her father has nothing to say. Going back to Chomps Lewis, he again reacts as if nothing has changed. You'd think the death of his daughter would have some impact on the man. But of course, we don't have to betray Tyrone, and once he gives us the chemicals, we can instead take them back to Melissa.
What do you want now?
I got the chems for you.
You actually came through for us. I didn't expect that. Anyway, the Great Khans pay their debts and don't forget their friends. If you ever come out to Red Rock Canyon, I'll put in a good word for you.
Goodbye, Melissa.
Don't leave a trail.
With that, we complete Don't Make a Beggar of Me, and we gain a hefty dose of Great Khan fame. I only became idolized here because I had previously completed other Great Khan quests, which I'll be covering in an upcoming video. So which of these choices is the best? Well, I'm a little conflicted here because I don't like the idea of the Great Khan chem trade depending on chemicals stolen from the NCR. The NCR likely needed to use those chemicals for other important purposes, maybe to create drugs to help refugees. Who were the Great Khans to say that their needs as a tribe are more important than the needs of refugees who have been injured and made homeless by the war between the NCR and the Legion? But I also think it's important to stay on the Khan's good side during the early parts of the game. We need to have a good reputation with this tribe in order to shape their destiny. So in my game, I chose to return the chemicals to Melissa to allow the Great Khans to continue with their chem production because I have my eyes set on a bigger prize. Now, we learned from Melissa the location of the Great Khan's camp. She said that they lived in Red Rock Canyon. We find the entrance to Red Rock Canyon in the northwest section of the map. As we walk into the canyon, we see a motorcycle wreckage, and we find totems made from animal bones, sticks, and hubcaps, marking the border of Great Khan territory. Red Rock Canyon goes deep into the mountain, and we have to walk quite a ways until we finally find the Great Khans. A big portion of the camp continues on westward. We'll explore that section in an upcoming video. But for now, to better understand the Great Khans, we need to speak with their leader. To do so, we need to climb the hillside to the north where we see great Khans walking up and down, past some tribal art on a nearby rock, and more totems erected, where we find a large encampment. Here the great Khans are cooking a Brahmin over a spit, which I'm sure is good eating, and to the northeast of this camp is an L-shaped house. This is the Great Khan Longhouse. It's the home of the Great Khan's leader, Papa Khan, and it's also his throne, where he gives audience to visitors. We find Papa Khan seated at a long table to the southeast, flanked on either side by his most trusted advisors.
So the cub enters the wolf's den. What do you want, cub?
Can you tell me about your people, Papa Khan?
You want to hear the story of the great Khans? It's a long one, full of honor, glory, and betrayal. We have suffered, but we will regain our glory.
Maybe you could give me the short version.
In a hurry, are you? Very well, then. The great Khans came east, out of the NCR 14 years ago. We ruled the wastes then, and called no man master. But we underestimated the families of the Strip, and they drove us back to Bitter Springs, where we remained until the NCR arrived and drove us here.
How did the three families defeat you?
They allied with Mr. House, the self-proclaimed master of New Vegas. He supported them with the resources of New Vegas. Weapons, technology, caps. They were better equipped, and we could not stand against them.
What happened at Bitter Springs?
When the NCR came to the Mojave, we thought they would be easy pickings. We raided their caravans, their towns, their camps. They couldn't stop us. At least that's what we thought. They tracked us to Bitter Springs and surrounded us. When our children, our sick and old, fled through a nearby pass, the NCR gunned them down.
That's horrible.
It's because of that we have sworn to take revenge on the NCR. With our new allies in Caesar's Legion, we will crush them.
That doesn't sound like something the NCR would do.
Oh, they claimed it was a miscommunication, but tell that to those who saw our families butchered. Tell it to the survivors who were banished here.
Oh, I see. So there is another side to this story. Papa Khan is choosing to believe the one he likes best. Well, Papa Khan, who exactly are you?
You march all the way out to Red Rock Canyon, enter my home as bold as you please, and you have no idea who I am? You've got guts, I'll give you that. Well then, let me educate you. I am the chief of the Great Khans. The Khan of Khans, if you like. This is my tribe, and these are my people.
Farewell.
Farewell.
To his right, we find his most trusted advisor, Regis.
I haven't seen you before. What brings you to the Great Khans?
Who are you?
Name's Regis. I'm Papa Khan's advisor and right-hand man. I'm also the chief enforcer of the tribe's laws, so watch your behavior.
Can you tell me about Papa Khan?
Papa is one of the best leaders the Khans have ever had. He's kept us together through all of our hardships, ever since we left California. Bitter Springs changed him, though. He started to really hate the NCR after the massacre. And sometimes I worry that's poisoned his mind.
What did you mean about Papa's hatred poisoning his mind?
I probably shouldn't be saying anything, but it seems Papa's been making decisions based more on his desire for revenge than what's good for the tribe. This alliance with Caesar, for one thing. I have my doubts about it.
This Regis is awfully frank to confide intimate tribal details to a stranger like that. What kind of doubts do you have?
I just don't trust the words of Caesar's ambassador that much. He's promising a lot, and I don't see the advantage for him. It makes me suspicious.
Tell me about Bitter Springs. I'd like to hear your take on it.
I really don't like to talk about it. Let's just say it was a tragedy, and the NCR is to blame, and we'll leave it at that.
Well, what's your opinion of the NCR?
That's a complicated question. They've done horrible things to our people, to be sure, and I've gladly killed many of their soldiers in battle. But I can't bring myself to hate them the way Papa does. Things would damn sure be better for us if they were in charge than Caesar.
So, if you were in charge of the tribe, you'd fight with the NCR against Caesar, if asked?
I suppose if asked, I would. But that's a moot point, because Papa's in charge now, and he's not going anywhere.
I see.
Until next time.
We can then interview the man sitting to Papa Khan's left. This is Carl, an emissary from Caesar himself.
I've been warned about you. You are perilously close to making an enemy of Caesar, and that is not wise.
Yeah, I think by this time I'm already an enemy of Caesar, considering he sends his assassins to kill me at every opportunity. Who are you, Carl?
My name is Carl. Glorious Caesar has sent me as an emissary to the great Khans as a token of our alliance.
What alliance?
In exchange for great Caesar's promise of all the lands west of New Vegas, the Khans have agreed to fight alongside the Legion when the time comes.
What does the Legion want with the great Khans?
Though they have been cruelly oppressed by the NCR, the Khans remain great warriors. The Legion is honored to have such allies in battle.
I see. So the Legion is trying to exploit the Great Khan's history with the NCR to absorb them into the Legion. Well, Carl, what's your role in Caesar's Legion?
I am one of the Frumentari. It is my duty to scout the waste in Caesar's name and make contact with any tribes that might serve a useful purpose. You might say I'm somewhere between a scout and an ambassador. I'm assigned here as part of the alliance between the Legion and the Great Khans.
What do you think of the Great Khans?
They're a tribe of fine warriors with many proud traditions and a glorious history. They will be worthy additions to the Legion.
All right, goodbye.
Yes, goodbye.
Well, this is really bad news for the Great Khans. We learned from the Honest Hearts DLC exactly what happens to tribes when they join Caesar's Legion. Remember when I did my video on Rex, we met a legionary, and who was forced to give up all of his tribe's former traditions. This caused the man great pain. For a tribe as proud as the Great Khans, a tribe that has as much history as the Great Khans does, you'd think they'd be the last ones to want to erase all of that, to completely blot it out by being absorbed into the Legion. The Legion which would stamp out their very identity. But perhaps Papa Khan doesn't know that that would happen. Perhaps Carl has not been upfront with him. Now, we do find another dialogue option here where we can begin to try and influence the politics going on here at Red Rock Canyon, but I'm not going to cover that now. I need to save that until much later in the game, for the decision we make here at Red Rock Canyon about whose side the Great Khans should join, if they should join at all, has endgame implications. Instead, we can head down the hill to explore the rest of Red Rock Canyon. Here we will find Jerry the Punk and the center of the Great Khan's drug empire. We'll save both of those stories for tomorrow's episode. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I publish a new Fallout video 6 days a week on a wide range of topics spanning all of the games. Feel free to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. That's where I make all Oxhorn-related announcements. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.